We already established that summer 2023 is officially It Girl Summer. Along with that, we are super excited to announce the ultimate group of It Girl Summer.
Over the course of 5 weeks, you'll make new girlfriends with fellow listeners of the pod, get access to exclusive group chats that include both of us, set goals, attend virtual events, and more.
For only $50, you can get access to all of this. That's only $10 a week. Join the ultimate group of It Girl Summer so you can channel your ultimate It Girl energy.
To sign up, click the link in the show notes and follow the steps on the website. Deadline to register is May 31st, so you have until then to sign up. We will kick off the group on June 4th with our first virtual hangout all together.
We really hope you join our community of It Girls so we can all have the best summer and embrace our full forms. Hello everyone, welcome back to a new episode. Today we have a really interesting topic, I feel like. We're going to be talking about faith and feminism.
We're going to have a conversation about, well, this is Haley's episode, so she's the one that planned it.
Kind of just like, the difference between religion and faith, like how does religion even fit with feminist views, all of that.
Nice.
So, and then our personal journeys. So stay tuned at the end if you want to know what we believe in. We are, let's just say it took us 7 minutes to gather ourselves and actually start recording because we couldn't stop laughing. So we're going to try and hold it together, and we're in a
silly, goofy mood.
Yes. We're going to talk about our LA trip real quick.
Yeah, so if you follow us on Instagram, you already know, but we had the opportunity to go to Spotify headquarters in LA, where we participated in a workshop, and it was really great. We got to network a little bit, make some new podcaster friends, and it was cool.
It was awesome.
Yeah, it was cool to be there.
We got to see like a few of the studios at Spotify. We got to meet some really cool people that work at Spotify and also other podcasters, like you said. And it was just so fun. Like, it was a fun trip.
It was fun.
One thing that was a major highlight for me is, I don't know if you guys know who this is, but we met Cammie Crawford.
At the airport.
She was on our flight. We were walking up, and I saw her, like, in the United, like, first class. And I was like, that is Cammie Crawford. And so we were, like, freaking out. And then I got a picture with her afterwards. It's my screensaver now. We gave her a business card.
She was the nicest person.
She was so nice.
Seriously.
So if you don't know who she is, she's basically like a personality, TV personality kind of.
Yeah.
But she is the co-host of Catfish. So I asked her, I was like, where's Neve? And it was like,
she loves
so
that.
funny. But she was like, oh, he's still at home. He gets to fly out a day late. Like, it felt like we were friends.
It really did.
But yeah, so she co-hosts Catfish. She also has her own podcast, and she's signed by Dear Media, which is like the dream. And she just has a lot. She was like Miss Teen USA, everything like that.
She's very it girl.
Yeah, she's very
but she was so nice.
She was so nice. Like, literally. I just, like, every time I look at my screensaver, I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, it feels weird. So, yeah, LA was super fun, though. Like, it really was.
It was. It was a great opportunity. And we're excited to take the podcast to new places.
Yes. We're so excited.
We're going to get into our obsessions for this week. Mine is this book series that I'm reading, the A Court of Thorns and Roses series. It's amazing. I just finished the second book. It is the best book I've ever read in my entire life. So if you have read the series, DM me. I want to talk about it. But it's really, really, really good.
Okay, speaking of good series, can we talk about what happened with my Goodreads in the airport?
Yeah, that was weird.
Okay, so everyone knows, if you've listened for even a few episodes, like, Kenz is a reader. She loves reading, and she tracks it all in Goodreads because she's super organized. And when I was in, like, middle school, I used to be in my reading era, so years and years ago. Yeah, and I remembered I had created a Good Pods, what's it called?
Goodreads.
Goodreads, sorry. Good Pods is also
different eras.
Yeah, but I had created a Goodreads, and basically I was trying to tell Kenz that I used to be obsessed with this book, And I was like, what was it called? But like I was like cult obsessed with it. Like I followed like it was like a small
So
author.
this is the way that you described it to me. You were like, it's about this girl who has a stump and she is trying to find something.
Some guy, like she's crawling through tunnels and he's like a prince or something. I don't know. I still don't really remember all the details, but it was like amazing. And I like emailed the author when I was in middle school and was like, when are you writing a second one? Like, I need it. I'm obsessed. Make a movie.
Girl.
Like, I was obsessed. So I was trying to tell Ken's, like, you should read this book. And I couldn't remember what it was called. And then I found it on my Goodreads.
Yeah.
And it's called Drowned. So look it up.
I was like, that doesn't sound like my type of book.
No, but I'm serious. I want you to read it.
I will read it for
I
you.
will go to the library. I'll open a library card and get it for you.
Oh my gosh, I will read it then.
Okay. Yeah, it's really good. But yeah, so
yeah, that
actually,
was funny.
that's my obsession this week. The book Drowned. I'm gonna reread it. So, anyways, DM Ken's if you want to talk about that book
Let's talk.
series. I think it's like really popular, right?
Oh, it's so popular. So one of my friends, she has lent me the book so far. And she was like, you have to finish the series because I have a whole folder saved of like memes and videos and TikToks and stuff. So she was like, I want to talk about it with you. I have to. So you need to finish it.
You guys are reading girls.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, it's so fun. But the book is seriously so good. And at work, probably at least every day when I have the book, somebody stops me and is like, oh my gosh, isn't it so good? And I'm like, yes, like it's amazing. Or they're like, it gets better, just wait. Or like, I have to read that. Like, seriously, it's a big talking point.
Why do I kind of want to read it?
You would be obsessed with it too. I know it.
Okay, I kind of want to read it. I need like something.
It's fantasy, it has romance, action. It's so good.
Okay, maybe I'll read it.
You should.
Okay, well, stay tuned to see if I actually follow through on that. I probably won't.
Okay, side note, hold on. It's 4:44.
Oh.
Remember yesterday I was
yeah.
like, I had screenshotted something and I had like 444 likes on something. And I was
no
like,
followers. It was someone's account.
No, it was likes on TikTok.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what it was. And I screenshotted it, and that was the third time I'd seen 444 that day, and I just saw it again. So the universe is protecting me.
Yeah, what does the 444 mean?
Protection.
Oh, I love that. So I'm just not getting protected? That's rude.
My angels are looking out for me.
Okay, actually, speaking of that, that ties into our topic, kind of, with like spirituality and everything.
It does. Okay, so, let me do the feminist highlight.
Oh, I was ready to segue.
You were, sorry.
Yeah, do the feminist highlight.
Okay, so today's highlight is Mia Yamamoto. She's a transgender Japanese-American criminal rights attorney, and she's also a huge civil rights activist. Gosh, what was that? She was born in an internment camp in Arizona during World War II, and she served in the U.S. Army and then went from UCLA School of Law, where she co-founded Asian Pacific Islander Law Student Association.
Oh.
She also co-founded the Multicultural Bar Alliance, a coalition of minority, women's, and LGBTQ+ bar associations in Los Angeles. She also has served on the Commission on Sexual Orientation and Gender Identity for the American Bar Association, and she was honored by API Equality and the Los Angeles County Human Relations Commission for her advocacy on behalf of the LGBTQ+ community.
Wow.
So she's done a lot, and she's brought awareness to a lot of minority groups and especially LGBTQ+ rights. Mm-hmm. So I think she's a great person to look to for civil rights activism. I think this is a really great episode for this month as well because it's Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. And so I think it's really important to remember that and to be able to look at people who fit into one of those groups and be able to highlight them.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you for doing the feminist highlight as always.
Yep.
We love learning. If you guys have any suggestions ever, feel free to DM us.
Yeah, I like to get a good variety of women to highlight. And I think it's a really important segment that we do as well.
Yeah, definitely.
You're like, can we move on to
no!
my time to shine?
Okay, so this is actually, I'm excited for this because it's a really good discussion, I think, a really important one. So, feminism and faith, feminism and religion, okay? How do they fit in together? Because when we think of feminism, we think of like female empowerment, women, standing up and really leading the charge. And when we think of like organized religion, I think everyone probably thinks about men leading.
Mhm.
Like immediately when I think of organized religion, I think of like um the organization of like the Mormon religion with like the quorum of the 12 and like the set, like all of
The
that.
hierarchy.
Yes.
Well, I can't think of one religion that is female led,
Hmm.
but I also am not that educated on other religions besides the one we grew up in.
And I tried to research that and I didn't find any either.
Okay.
So I don't think it's like uneducated to say. Obviously, yes, there's probably small like outlying religions,
Mhm.
but when we think of the
Mhm.
major religions in the world, they're male dominated or
Mhm.
male led.
Male led.
So, yeah, that's kind of like what's prompting this conversation. I think it's important. I think a lot of people know this, especially in our generation, because um, a lot of people believe differently now, but I think a lot of people know the difference between religion and faith. But
Mhm.
let's just talk about it. So, like for you, what's the difference?
So to me, religion is organized religion,
Hmm.
right? You identify with a religion, and spirituality or faith is more personal.
Hmm.
So you might not go to church every week or even every month or ever. You might not read the Bible or a
Hmm.
certain religious script, but you have a relationship with your higher power.
Yeah. No, exactly. I think that's the perfect way to define it. So I found some very interesting things. And just to preface, we are not bashing organized religion at all. You can go back and listen to, if you haven't listened for a while, you can go back and listen to, what was the episode where we like talked about leaving the Mormon church? Oh,
Was
airing
that
out our
purity
dirty
culture?
laundry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, airing out our dirty laundry, the purity culture episode. We talked about like our background in religion. So if you want to hear more about that, go back. Um, but yeah, we were both raised super religious. So I think that a really good question to ask is like, does feminism fit inside of religion?
Right.
So let's think about some major aspects of religion that just don't align with feminism at all. So one of them is male dominated leadership. That's the obvious one. We're talking about the major world religions, male dominated leadership, like we just said.
Yes. Patriarchy.
We think about modesty and like covering up for the male gaze and like for protecting the male eyes and everything and keeping the girls pure. But like with feminism, it would be more about like express yourself, you know?
Yes.
Like you don't have to wear long sleeves because it's going to distract a man, you know?
You can express yourself with tattoos or piercings
Hmm.
or dressing the way that you like.
Individuality, you
Yeah.
know, like being yourself. Whereas in organized religion, for the
It's
most
more
part,
suppressive.
yeah, it's like make sure you're modest, make sure you're covering up, don't really get tattoos or, you know,
Your body's a temple.
exactly. Another thing is that like traditionally these like these big organized religions promote the like almost like the nuclear family unit
Mhm.
and the traditional family roles of like the man is the provider, the woman is like the nurturer, and you do your separate roles, and that's it. Like you
Mhm.
don't really do anything different.
Mhm.
So that doesn't really align with feminism. And it doesn't mean that if you have that nuclear family and that those traditional gender roles within your family that you're not feminist. That's not what that means.
Right. It's just putting forth the idea of the
Hmm.
gender stereotypes and what gender roles should be. And
Right.
there's not really a path around it.
Right, exactly. So, yeah, that doesn't really align like feminism and organized religion. And then the last one that I could think of was that organized religion, the major ones just aren't inclusive to LGBTQ plus
Or
people
other
or other
lifestyles.
lifestyles at all. Yeah. So, um kind of like I wrote out that list and I was kind of just like, so how does like if it even fits, how does feminism fit inside organized religion? Because those are big fundamental things that just don't align.
Right, because a big part of feminism is gender equality. So,
Mhm.
like, I know for both of us, we agree part of the reason that we left our church in our childhood,
Uh-huh.
I don't really know how to phrase that,
Yeah.
part of the reason that we left the religion we belong to was because of that reason.
Yeah.
Because LGBTQ and queer people were not accepted.
No.
And the message was to suppress who you are and those
Mhm.
feelings and to just get on the path of, like you said, like a traditional nuclear family and to just
Mhm.
stuff it down.
And, like, along with that, like, lots of, like, literature, like, religious literature and media put out by that church that are just very, like, conversion therapy-esque and
Mm-hmm.
just obviously not inclusive. So, yeah, that was a big reason for us, and also because there's really no, like, I think I think a lot of organized religions will kind of act like they're elevating women and like, "Oh, like, you guys are so precious and, like, you are so special, and so we're, like, protecting, like, you guys,
Mm-hmm.
and we're going out and, like, exposing ourselves and being more, susceptible to the world." And I think they disguise that as, like, female empowerment, but it's really
Mm-hmm.
just suppression.
Right. And if you think about all of the violence and abuse that women face
Yeah.
in certain areas of the world and certain religions, um, that's also not conducive of feminism.
Mm-mm.
We're going to take a quick break to talk about our sponsor, BetterHelp.
It's 2023 and it's time to really prioritize our mental health this year. No matter where you are in life, everyone can benefit from therapy. Whether you need to work through trauma or just need a safe person to talk to, BetterHelp is here for you.
BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy service. Get matched with a professional licensed therapist in your state who you can trust.
BetterHelp has options to communicate with your therapist via chat, email, or video, and you can message them at any time to get help.
BetterHelp is giving our listeners 10% off if you sign up using the link in our show notes.
If you're struggling with depression, anxiety, relationships, trauma, grief, or just need someone to talk to, try BetterHelp today by clicking the link in our show notes or go to betterhelp.com/RTAFpod to get 10% off today.
Yeah, so at this point, I was starting to feel a little hopeless of, how does it fit? Um, but we're gonna get into it a little more.
Okay.
So, anything you wanna add, like, thinking about those things, or are you good?
No, I want to hear what else you have to add.
Okay. So I had a few examples of, like, scripture or, like, written word that religions follow, that I just thought were really interesting because, like, they don't align with feminism at all.
Mhm.
And obviously, this is a very literal interpretation, but we see religions across the world interpreting things very literally. So,
Right. On the flip side, though, too, some religions interpret things loosely. Like,
mhm,
I've seen people on TikTok, I don't know how reliable that is, but I've seen people on TikTok saying, like, no, homosexuality isn't a sin in the Bible because this passage says this.
mhm.
So I guess it just kind of depends. I really don't know.
Yeah. Well, so here are some of the scriptures that I was like found were interesting. Um, okay, this is from the Bible. So any religion that like reads the Bible. This was Ephesians 5:22 through 24. And the scripture says, "Wives, submit yourselves." I feel like I'm in church.
Literally, this
Um,
is throwbacks.
okay, the scripture says, "Wives, submit yourselves to your own husbands as you do to the Lord, for the husband is the head of the wife, as Christ is the head of the church, his body, of which he is the Savior. Now, as the church submits to Christ, so also wives should submit to their husbands in everything." So that was pretty specific. Like, it said multiple times, like, wives submit to your
Submit.
husbands,
Right.
and they're over you, like they're the head. So that was one thing I'm like, yeah, I mean, that's like the organization of at least how we grew up. It wasn't like we've talked about this, like our family was different, whatever, but like that's like the preachings.
Yeah. And it depends on like what area you're in and stuff. Like I don't really feel like it was told like
Submit
you
to your
will submit
husband.
to your husband.
No, not like
But
that.
it was kind of expected to have traditional gender
Yeah, and
roles.
like he was the head of the household.
Right. And they put out literature saying that.
Yeah. So that was an interesting one. Do you want to read the next one?
Yeah.
Okay, the next one is also from the Bible.
So this is Colossians.
Okay,
Is that how you
when I
say
was
it?
typing that, I was like, Colossians? Like, I was like, all my years of religion, I
I
don't
know, I
even
think it's
know.
Colossians.
Okay, we'll go with it.
Yeah, 3:18. Wives, submit yourselves to your husbands as is fitting in the Lord.
So another one.
Right, and that's saying, like, this is what God expects of you.
Right. And that's kind of like, oh, okay, like, if God expects this.
Right.
Yeah, so not the greatest. We also, I have two from the Quran.
Mhm.
I don't know how to say I'm gonna do my best. I like tried to look at the pronunciation, but I'm gonna do my best to pronounce like the book. But it's Surah An-Nisa 434. Men are the protectors and maintainers of women because Allah has made one of them excel the other.
Oh
So
no.
yeah,
I do
that's
not like that.
also not great. Do you want to read the other one from the Quran?
Sure. So this is from the same book. It's 4:11. Allah instructs you concerning your children. For the male, what is equal to share of two females? Is that saying polygamy?
No, that
Oh.
I interpreted it as we go to polygamy because we're Mormon. Or we were. Oh my gosh, no, that's so scary. But I thought it was saying like basically a man, like two women equal one man. So like a man is worth
Oh.
or a woman is worth
Oh,
half a
yeah.
man.
No, I see that.
Yeah.
Okay. What is equal to the share of two females? Yeah, that makes sense.
Hmm.
So that is blatantly saying that women are seen as less than men.
Exactly. And then the last one, I was trying to find like multiple books. So from the Torah, which
Do you know what the Torah is?
it's for
I don't.
um so I don't actually, I'm confused because it's from the Torah, but it's Genesis. So from what I was researching, the Torah is like a few books from the Bible.
So can I read what I just Googled?
Yeah.
So it says the Torah is the compilation of the first 5 books of the Hebrew Bible, namely the books of Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So a few books.
Okay.
So this one is from Genesis. It's 3:16, and it says, "To the woman he said, I will make your pains in childbearing very severe with painful labor. You will sell it. You will give birth to children. Your desire will be for your husband, and he will rule over you."
You
So
can't make this up.
yeah, again, like these are like from the direct books. That's three different books that at least three different religions abide by. So that was just something I was just like when we think about it fundamentally, and like you always hear like for religions like you can't change the word, like you can't change the doctrine.
Right.
So like that's the doctrine, and that's what it's teaching.
And it is conflicting.
Yeah.
Like trying to figure out where feminism does fit.
Because there's so many feminists that are in organized religion.
Yeah, and have very strong beliefs, and that fits their life.
Right.
But for me personally, because I think we'll get to this at the end, but when I think about like going back to church, I'm just like I can't do it. And now hearing those scriptures, I'm like I just don't know.
Yeah, it is. It's very tricky.
Like it's not a yes or no issue of whether feminism fits into religion.
Yeah, no. It's just I feel like it's like an ongoing conversation.
Right.
But and I do you have something else?
Well, so I was gonna say that's why like lately I've just been saying like I'm spiritual.
Yeah.
Because I feel like feminism fits into that really, really well for me.
We're gonna get into our personal
Okay.
right after this. But I did want to make just like an important note that we're not bashing religion. There are so many benefits to organized religion. The ones I thought of off the top of my head were like community. That's a really big aspect. Something to give your life purpose. So even if I don't necessarily believe in a specific religion, that doesn't mean it can't give you purpose, you know? Do you think of any other ones that are beneficial or that
some
benefit you?
guidance in your spiritual practice.
Yeah, accountability. Like,
yeah.
there's a lot of benefits. Not saying that there's anything wrong with organized religion at all, but that leads me into like my personal journey. Do you want to like elaborate on yours?
Well,
like,
I feel like you have more to say on this because, like, for me,
yeah, like where do you stand?
Like, I still identify as Christian because I believe in God, but I don't remember the last time I went to church, like, on my own. Like, we went with the family for Christmas.
Yeah. Well, on Christmas Eve.
Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
But before that, I don't remember the last time I went to church. I really don't have that much of a desire to go, because I actually, so one of my coworkers is very Christian, and we have many conversations about things that we don't agree with within the Christian church, mostly like LGBTQ plus rights.
Yeah.
And she feels very strongly that um, that needs to be something that's accepted.
Yeah.
And so she said, like, her family's going through this struggle as well. But she gave me a couple churches that are much more progressive. And so I'm open to going to a church where my values align more, but I just still like really don't have the desire to.
Mhm.
And I need to get over like the guilt of like, well, I should be going,
Yeah.
right? Because that's kind of ingrained.
Mhm.
Like, I need to be going, even if it's once a month. So for me, like I mentioned, I just am more spiritual now. Um, I don't really read like the Bible or anything right now, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I just really don't have a desire to.
So, can I ask, like, a few weeks ago, you did tell me, like, oh, I want to try, do you want to go to church with me tomorrow? Is that like, are you still wanting to try and go once a
So
month?
I go back and forth because I want to go and just see.
Yeah.
Because once I'm there, I'll know like how I'm feeling, and if I have a really great feeling and I want to go back, I'm going to know that.
Yeah.
And that would be, to me, that would be like revelation from God that I need to go.
Mhm.
So, yes, I want to go and try it, but honestly, there's other things I'd rather do on a Sunday.
Yeah, not really putting a timeline on it.
Yeah.
If you feel like going, you'll go.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Um, yeah, I think that's interesting. I have, this is hard for me. I have kind of come to the conclusion, I would say that I'm agnostic. So I believe in a higher power. Um, and it's hard for me because like I like think about specifically like when I had cancer, I know that like I always in my head knew like God saved my life.
There was some sort of divine
Yes,
intervention.
and now I'm like, wait, how does that fit if I don't necessarily believe in God? There was some sort of higher power looking out for me
Yeah.
that, pulled me out of that. So, yeah, that's where I am right now. I just believe that there's some sort of higher power. I feel like it's a female higher power
Goddess.
for me personally. Um, I think everyone can have like their different kind of like guiding being or like guidance. Um, but yeah, so like my higher power, maybe every single person in the world has a different higher power,
Mhm.
But for me personally, I feel like she's like embodies like female
Yeah.
energy.
Femininity.
Yeah, and yeah, so I kind of just um focus on my energy with that. I do my tarot readings every day, and I try and just like be mindful, get in my routine. Like I'm super mindful about my routine, and I feel like that kind of plays into it because I'm trying to just balance my energies. Um, so yeah, that's kind of where I am right now. I'm kind of just believing in like my higher power is guiding me. I'm working on energy and trying to keep balanced.
Yeah, to add, I feel like you're more vocal about it, but I feel like we both are on the same page with like just letting the universe guide us right now at this
Hmm.
point in our lives.
Yeah.
And like our angels and our protectors.
Hmm.
So,
Our angels, like my
yeah.
tattoo.
So I feel like that's important to like, because I feel like the universe does play a part
Oh
in
yeah,
our lives.
yeah. Well, this also playing into that recently is like human design for me.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I was gonna say like I think the reason why I really just believe in a higher power now is because there's like so many signs from the universe and apparent like very apparent ones, especially for me this week. Like I was opposing what the universe wanted for me, and I just kept trying to make things work and do the opposite of what was meant for me. And then when I finally decided to embrace what was happening in the universe, all of a sudden all these good things happened. Like good things happened.
Hmm.
And so I'm just like, yeah,
It's
there's
true.
no way the universe doesn't play a role in guiding our lives. Whatever my higher power is, whoever she is, she's guiding me, and I'm just gonna like rely on her.
Yeah. And to me, that feels right now.
Yes,
So that's
yeah.
why, like I said, sometimes I still feel guilty and like I should be going to church. It's Sunday morning, but I'm getting over that.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm much more happier about it because it's like all on my terms. I'm not forced to do anything. I'm not being told to believe certain things.
Yeah.
And I can just figure it out.
No, I love that. I think I was gonna say, I like felt really guilty for a long time. And I think it was the whole time I was at BYU Idaho, just because I didn't want to be there, but I
Right.
had to. But then when I would say probably like a year ago now, I was able to like let go of that guilt, and I will feel guilty if someone says something to me, like
Mhm.
if dad says something like, "Hey, why aren't you going?" Then I'll feel guilty then, but like other than that, I don't feel guilty. So like I hope that you can like get to that place, cuz it doesn't feel good to feel guilty, but that's
No,
ingrained in
and it
us.
doesn't really happen like that often anymore.
No.
It's mostly like if a family member brings it up,
Exactly.
then it does get a little difficult because you're like, oh, that's what everyone's expecting.
Right.
Um, but I was gonna say something. What was I gonna say? Oh, I know we can both attest to this. Like for me and you don't have to have religion to feel good, is what I've learned. Like I can tell when I'm very high vibrational and when my energy's aligned. I
Yeah.
can tell, and like I feel really great, and I'm like, hey, I know like I'm on the right path. I know this is what's meant for me right now. So
Exactly.
yeah,
No, I totally agree. Yeah, I think that's kind of an update on where we are. Hopefully you guys found this conversation interesting. If you have any thoughts or points that you want to make, you can comment on our Instagram posts or DM
yeah, I would
us.
be interested in hearing everyone's experience with religion. Like if you grew up religious and now you're not, or you didn't and now you are, or whatever your journey is. Because I think it's really interesting to hear everybody's experience with religion.
Yep. We will put some polls in Spotify. So if you're on Spotify, do our polls so we can see.
Yeah.
I think that'll be fun.
Yeah. Well, we will be back next week with a brand new episode. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Real Talk About Feminism Pod. Instagram especially because that's where we post everything. So be sure to follow us there. And then subscribe to our weekly email newsletter. Link is in the show notes. And talk to you next week.
Bye. Guys.